everybody. Welcome to our webinar on crowdfunding and learning how to invest in Oregon startups and small businesses as little as $50 per deal. We're super excited to be at this point in our partnership with Republic for our RAINcap program. And so thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We've got just a couple housekeeping things really quickly. I'm Caroline Cummings, the CEO of RAIN. Thanks for joining. We have all of the videos and the audio disabled right now. And if throughout the webinar, we do want to hear from you though. So you can either post questions in the chat that you have for RAIN or for Republic, or you can use the raise your hand feature and Nate on our team will make it so that you can speak. So if you have any questions about any of that or any technical stuff, post it in the chat area, and my team, there's a lot of my team members from RAIN on here who will be able to respond to that. So before we jump in, I just wanted to give a quick update on the RAINcap program. Some of you are aware of it, some of you are not. This webinar is specifically focused on folks who want to invest in Oregon startups and small businesses. However, I know we have some entrepreneurs on as well, which entrepreneurs can also invest in other companies. But also it's a good thing for you to see the process of what investors are going through on the platform. So the platform will be launching in a couple of weeks here. We're gonna launch, because we're in beta, we will be launching with one, maybe two, maybe three companies. So we're curating these companies so that we can learn this process and make sure that we're helping those companies rally the crowd and be able to answer any technical questions that we might have as we're launching, just like a tech company would do when they launch, right? You do your beta, and then once all the kinks are worked out, we open it up to a larger group. But those of you who are on the call today, later in the program, we'll put a link in if you want to be an early bird investor to sign up. But this program is specifically to educate you on the RAINcap program and the Republic platform, the custom platform that we're going to be rolling out shortly. We're thrilled to have Mikaela Giani from Republic with us again. But before we get to Mikaela, I want to turn it over to Juan Barraza, who is the Vice President of the RAIN board. And he's also leading the PSU Accelerator. He's got his hands into a lot of different entrepreneurial ecosystem things here in Oregon. He wanted to just welcome you all and say a little word before handing it off to Mikaela. So thank you again for being here, and I'll hand it over to Juan.
Thank you, Caroline, and good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you, or good to have you here. First of all, congratulations. Who could have told us 20 months ago that we'll be working remotely from all parts of the country, all parts of the world, and we still be able to do the impact that we do in and out in our communities, especially you're an entrepreneur. We understand it's been hard. It's been tough, but when things get tough, the tough gets going. And thanks to support RAIN and each one of you, we are here, and it seems like it's light at the end of the tunnel. As Caroline mentioned, I'm the Director of Student Innovation at the Center for Entrepreneurship in Portland State. I wear many hats in the community. I'm a big supporter of entrepreneurship across Oregon. Zip codes, regardless where you are in life and your career path, entrepreneurship could be a catalyzer for economic development and for you and your family and loved ones to jump the socioeconomic ladder. That's where I joined the board with RAIN. RAIN is able to provide and support hundreds of underrepresented entrepreneurs, regardless where they are in the state. And every few years, Oregon has had a huge impact on our ecosystem. Over 83% of entrepreneurs the RAIN has surveyed in the last couple of years indicate that beyond the natural challenges that every business has is the access to capital. It is at the top of mind, how they can get access to capital and our ecosystem, right? We hear about angel investors, VC investment. You need to have certain requirements to be able to invest in those large deals. And not everybody has the income or the knowledge to do so. And we need to diversify the sources of capital that we have available for entrepreneurs. Not everybody does a software play. We have food tech, we have manufacturing, we have services, we have nonprofits. So I gotta figure out a way to be able to help and support entrepreneurs. We need to take a bold action to broaden the access to capital resources, especially in rural areas. Focus on women, minority, underserved entrepreneurs in Oregon. So we're very thrilled to be partnered with Republic team to launch a platform that will help Oregonians to invest in Oregonians. So we're here to learn about that. And probably you hear about Dutch Brothers. Who could tell us 25 years ago that a coffee shop in Grants Pass, Oregon will become $1 billion company? If I could have the opportunity to invest few dollars back then, probably it could help with my retirement or my financial plans. Anyway, with nothing further to ado, I wanted to introduce you our next speaker. But before I do, I gotta add the disclaimer to that the information you are about to hear and see today is for educational purpose only. We are not recommending investment in any specific company, and this is just to educate the RAINs, educate you about the RAINs Capital Access Program only. And with that, let me introduce you to our good friend, Mikaela Giani from Republic. She's our senior associate in the investment team. Mikaela, welcome virtually to Oregon.
Thank you so much. Looks like my screen might have froze. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here. I will pull up a presentation that we have here right now. My screen froze, I'm sorry. Okay.
I can pull up my screen if you need me to, Mikaela.
I have it here. All right, one second. Okay, can you see this?
Yes, there we go.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk about investing in the future of Oregon startups with Republic and RAIN. This is the disclaimer that Juan just mentioned. We're going to talk about today basically just a brief introduction to Republic. We want to explain a little bit more about the Republic and RAIN partnership, investing on RAINcap's Republic platform, the asset classes that are offered, how to get started, and then we definitely want to save time for some Q&A afterwards. So today, I guess, and Caroline, please feel free to jump in here. I know this is definitely going to be a team effort between the both of us, but a little background on the entrepreneur's journey. Essentially working with RAINcap's member area, they're going to be getting one-on-one coaching, video lessons, all the prep that's needed to, prepare for launching an actual investment campaign. They're also going to be supported with Live Plan, and I know that Caroline will probably talk a little bit more about that. And then essentially coming onto Republic's platform and this custom platform that we've designed specifically for RAINcap's program.
Yeah, I'll just add in here, like we're designing a funnel for startups and small businesses to enter into to get access to the RAINcap platform. And we're going to be doing a lot of hand-holding, a lot of one-on-one, working with you on your business model, on your financials, on your go-to-market strategy, because one of the key things about, even though it's the RAINcap platform, it's really owned by Republic. And because of our 501c3 status, we RAIN cannot decide who gets added onto the platform, who gets accepted, whether you're doing an equity raise or a revenue share raise. We want to make sure that we're doing a lot of one-on-one with you so that when we hand you off to the platform, that the Republic team understands that their due diligence criteria is what we've been using to hand off the deals so that they have a higher chance of accepting you, because we can't choose to say you're accepted or not onto the platform. We also can't tell all the investors, hey, invest in this company. We can only educate you and let you know what companies are being listed on the platform. So I just wanted to really clarify that. But there is a clear process that is on this slide, that before we hand the companies off to Republic, that they have been vetted. And I know investors care a lot about that these are companies that we have done a fair amount of due diligence on ourselves, probably over a couple of month or two. Back to you, Mikaela.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Caroline. So a big piece of this of crowdfunding that, essentially a whole thing that has come about because of this is just extending the opportunity for more people to invest in private companies. Before regulation crowdfunding, there wasn't a real streamlined way that was publicly accessible to everyone to invest in private companies. 92% of Americans were kept out of that. Essentially, entrepreneurs were limited. They could bring on, I think it was 35 unaccredited investors, and they essentially had to manage that whole thing themselves. So it was easier to work with, high net worth individuals and accredited investors exclusively to fund these really exciting opportunities.
And I'll speak to this one. As Juan had said, the research that we've been doing really aligns with the national data that there's a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses in Oregon who kind of feel stuck in the middle. They aren't qualifying for bank loans, traditional loans, especially if you're an early stage company. You don't have 3 years of financial projections in order to do that. And you may not currently be ready for venture capital or ever be ready for venture capital or even angel funding, but you need 50,000, 250,000, somewhere in that ballpark to really sort of launch. And there's really not a lot of places to go to. And that's why we've launched this program, this RAINcap program, to help you not feel stuck in the middle.
Exactly. Obviously, the other side of what the benefits were that came about with crowdfunding was just more access to capital for businesses. Most definitely.
Yeah, and so I actually just got interviewed by Malia Spencer from the Portland Business Journal earlier this morning about this program, and she's working on an article talking about it. And we had found this this article actually from Mandy from the UVO, who I know is on the call. So thank you for sharing the research. That this was just published in April, that there was about 400 million pumped into Portland area startups in the first quarter, but yet women founders only landed 1.6% of it. So there's still a struggle for women to get access to larger pools of capital. And though we won't be able to solve that problem right out of the gate with RAINcap, the goal is that we will get to that point to be able to solve that.
Exactly. So our missions are definitely aligned here. Republic's mission is to give power to the people to invest in the future they believe in by providing access to startup, real estate, crypto, video games, Main Street businesses, all the different types of businesses, all the best structures that are, or the structures that are appropriate for these businesses to invest, and providing a way for the investors to, more investors to become investors, more people to become investors, and participate in the growth of the companies that they care about and the future they want to see. So a little bit about Republic's impact. We now have over 1 million users on our platform, 160 companies represented, or over 160 companies represented in our investor base. We've supported over 500 offerings and have raised over 500 million through the Republic ecosystem. So really exciting numbers that we just were able to share. Just celebrated our 5th birthday earlier this year. So it's been really exciting to see that impact. And this is, basically right in line with what Caroline was just talking about, that, the current status of US venture funding, 2.3% going to female founders, less than 1% going to Black founders, and 0.6% going to female founders of color. So definitely a huge problem, and we are very committed to fixing that. What's exciting is that we have been able to start leveling the playing field, and this is very much a team effort with Republic and with all the organizations out there, especially like RAIN, 50% of the founders on Republic Retail's platform are underrepresented. So it's really exciting to be able to see that change that we can facilitate, and it's powered by the people, powered by, you know, everyday individuals who want to be a part of this. So now everyone can invest as low as $50 in private companies. I mentioned this earlier. These are the verticals that we have built and established so far. You know, the high growth startup side, we do real estate opportunities, crypto, video games, Main Street. We just launched a music vertical. So there's a lot of different ways to invest in many companies, and we're excited to be featuring the Oregon entrepreneurs as well, and hopefully a lot of these categories. This is just a little bit about the fact that it's really important for investors. Like, a billionaire's portfolio consists of a diversified investment. So having some investments in real estate, in equities, bonds and fixed income, cash currencies, private equity, all of these areas, we're able to replicate a similar spread through the types of companies that utilize a crowdfunding platform. And hopefully we are able to contribute to everyone else's growth and wealth path as well. So we'll talk a little bit about now what we look for in the offerings that we support. And this is really where RAIN is going to be adding so much value in the entrepreneurs that they're working with. We do these kind of standard areas that we're looking into. It's not that any company is good or bad necessarily, but there's definitely a right time to utilize crowdfunding, and having certain measures are going to provide a lot of interest for potential investors that are looking into these companies. So just know that when you see a company listed on Republic, and especially on RAIN's specific crowdfunding page, we're going to have these factors really nailed down to the best of our ability. And we feel like these entrepreneurs are able to execute based on what they're explaining to the investors and the funds that they're looking to raise. So team, you know, dedication, diversity, location, experience, vision, all of these things really come together. It might not be one person, it might be a combination of the team, of their advisors, of their board. Definitely look at a very holistic view of all these factors. Traction, you just want to see that there are certain things in place, whether they're pre-revenue or post-revenue, definitely showing that they have the pieces in place to be able to execute, as we mentioned. What's the product? Is the idea compelling? Are they going to be able to execute? Attention to detail. What does the technology look like? All of those factors are really important in our diligence process. And crowdfundability. I think you know, people love the story and the background behind the entrepreneur, behind their mission and why they're bringing this product or service out there. So obviously knowing that the entrepreneur has some network of their own to at least jumpstart the fundraising process is going to be really important. And that's why RAIN's going above and beyond and trying to have these kind of investor education events to really put out these opportunities. I mean, one thing, even if you don't know the entrepreneurs directly, just knowing that you can invest in Oregon companies somewhere that you live, that you care about, is really powerful. And it really helps the entrepreneur to reach their funding goals. Caroline, did you want to speak to this bit?
Yeah, I did. So at the core of what RAIN does is, you know, wraps support around entrepreneurs. And what I really want to emphasize mostly on this slide is for the investors attending, or the potential investors attending, is how much we are doing before we hand off the deal, so that you can feel good about the companies that will be posted on the RAINcap platform will be, quote unquote, like investable. It's whether or not that company really aligns with an interest, if you want to support a local brewery or a food and beverage company or a tech company, right? And so in preparation of getting them for the platform, these are the things that we're looking at: the business model, the team, the runway. We're partnering with Palo Alto Software. They're going to use Live Plan so that we can streamline the financials and also validate how much money they really need to raise, because oftentimes, as many of the investors on this call know, that a company might think they need 100, but they really need 300,000, or they might need 500,000. And so we're going to hold their hands and fact checking the things that they provide. And then ongoing, once they're on the platform and even beyond the platform, is if they raise their money, when they raise their money, we're going to work with them to make sure they're giving good reports to you as investors, and that they're keeping you up to date on what they said they would do in their plan, that they're actually going to do, and make sure that you're closely communicated to about that.
So on Republic, we've tried to make the investing process as simple and straightforward as we possibly can. Obviously, taking into account very high level security for protecting all the information, a simple process to sign up and connect your accounts. Seeing the initial screening that we're doing upfront, the due diligence that's presented. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong slide, but essentially, yes, this is just in summary what we were just talking about: the initial screening, due diligence, and final decision. And then obviously we'll dive into the investment process as well. But just know that a lot of this care is going in upfront, and as RAIN is providing through the RAINcap platform, above and beyond support through the process. Okay, now we'll talk about how streamlined and easy it is. I'm going to show this quick video here. You can hear the sound. So that just shows you really beginning to end. That was an awesome video. I think that's really like actually going through and making the full investment. What's really neat is that you can sign up and just basically become a member and browse investment opportunities. You don't obviously have to go through the full investment commitment upfront just to sign up and to have your account open. You do have to go through that brief kind of identity verification process, obviously in line with the SEC and other kind of banking standards, but you can do that at the pace that you're open to once you actually decide to make the investment. And I will show you, sorry. You can see here, once you do have your actual portfolio set up.
Mikaela, sorry to interrupt you. We're still on the video slide if you want to advance one.
Let me see. Looks like it paused.
And then there you go.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here you can actually see this is what your portfolio would look like. Obviously, you will have your various your investments listed here, the total that you've invested, the number of companies. I'm going to show you over here in this other side, this investor settings shows you really easily how to calculate the amount that you're able to invest in Reg CF and regulation crowdfunding. So essentially, if you don't provide any information on your income or your net worth, everyone is allowed to invest up to $2,200 per 12-month period in regulation crowdfunding offerings. So I just put in some hypothetical numbers here with $100,000 of yearly income, $50,000 net worth. And it shows me that I'm allowed to invest 5,000 per 12 months, and then Reg A plus or another type of offering, and I can invest up to 10,000 there. And then I'm going to show you.
Can you also, Mikaela, explain
Yep.
the difference between Reg CF and Reg A?
Yes, so Reg A plus is allowed for non-accredited investors to participate. It's actually, I would say the way that you see it most in Republic is whenever companies are looking to invest about 20, or they're looking to raise about 15, 20 million or more, because it is a pretty lengthy process. You have to go through a qualification exercise with the SEC prior to the offering, and it is kind of cost intensive and time intensive for sure for companies. But when you're looking to raise that much money, it's really amazing to be able to utilize the same type of a platform where you can have both accredited and non-accredited investors participate. And let me pull up this investor settings here. You can see my screen. So I'm gonna just have, if I changed this to
And
my
Mikaela,
yearly,
we still see your slide and not you. I think you have to do like a separate screen share to switch over to your browser.
okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so if I change, I'm in my investor settings here. If I change my yearly income to 400,000 and then my net worth to 2 million, just for example, this would make me an accredited investor, and I can select the way that I'm qualified. In this case, I'll just put this with 1 million or more. I click update. Then it would show I'm unlimited. So any accredited investors interested in investing in regulation crowdfunding have unlimited cap, which is really exciting for entrepreneurs. This is a new rule. Prior to this year, it was actually capped at 107,000.
And Mikaela, while you're toggling back to the slides, Pat has a question. Is it legally considered quote unquote going public with all the requisite reporting requirements?
No. Whenever you're raising on the whenever you're raising through regulation crowdfunding, it is not going public. So that's one big thing. This is the pre-IPO stage. You do have, essentially it's like a mini version of that. The companies are required to disclose certain information, provide annual updates to the investors. They have a much lighter load on that front. So it's just a kind of a smaller scale of going public.
And then another question, how do people know what assets to include in the net worth?
It actually, we do have a really good FAQ, and actually whenever you're in here and throughout the sign up process, there'll be links to our FAQ pages that tell you how to calculate that.
But there's no validation on the end of Republic, right? Like
right.
Okay.
Right. So that was another really nice change that happened this year. We were previously required to, verify accredited investor status and all of these other things. Now you're allowed to kind of self-certify that information. And what's also nice, in case you were investing in crowdfunding offerings and other platforms, you can track that within your Republic portfolio as well. So it will be able to help you calculate your investment limits, because investing, the limits apply to any regulation crowdfunding offerings, not specific to one platform. And I just want to show you a quick overview now of a campaign page. There's a lot of great examples if you want to check it out on republic.co, and we can send that information afterwards. But essentially, this is a quick screenshot of a campaign page. A lot of companies do videos, so it's a really cool way to kind of get that view. Here, the founders talking, telling their story. We have, the highlights and the deal terms really easily accessible at the top here. You'll be able to see what type of investment structure they're utilizing, how much they're looking to raise, what's the minimum goal, the maximum goal. And another great feature, a couple of great features here. So discussion board, investors are allowed to post questions here where the founder can respond directly, answer everything, continue, engaging through that. One thing that the SEC does want to see with regulation crowdfunding offerings is that everything is in one place. They shouldn't be having kind of individual one-on-one conversations. They want all the information in one place. So if you're asking questions to a founder, it really does need to be through the discussion section. And then updates, you can continue to, the entrepreneur can continue to engage the investors, the people that are following the campaign or who have already invested in updates beyond, the funding. So once the campaign's closed, I think this will be a great way for RAIN's companies, for the Oregon entrepreneurs to be able to continue to engage investors through this method, which is nice because if you think about it, whenever they do open up a fundraising to allow many more investors to invest as low as $50, it's really nice for them to have a place to communicate all at once and streamline through the platform versus, handling that individually in emails and things. And then reviews, people are allowed to post, this is why I invested, this is why this is important to me, which can be really powerful. And one other thing I wanted to show here too, in addition to your investment, a lot of companies do offer bonus perks. So you'll see that if you invest at $150, this is what you get. If you invest in $500, this is what you get. So there's a lot of different things beyond just your investment that you can get from the offering and other ways to engage with the company.
Can you maybe speak, can you go back one more?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mikaela.
No worries.
Can you talk about so a company's on there and they're raising $200,000. What's the minimum that they can set and what does that mean for the investor? So if I've put money into that company and they raise their minimum, what does that mean for me if they don't raise the rest of the funds that they set out to raise?
So I guess it does depend on the structure, but essentially, I mean, it would all just be relative to the terms are set regardless. I guess it would just be relative to how much they are actually able to raise and how much the individual invested. That would be the portion of the equity or whatever that they were signing up to receive within that company should be the same either way. But each company might have, special terms that you would read through the offering documents. All the documents are available in this little sidebar here under the deal terms, so you can review that specifically. If, for example, a company is raising debt and they have their maximum goal to 500,000 and they only raised, 100,000, which was still their minimum, that was totally fine, but they might be paying a smaller percentage back each month. So in some cases, it could change the terms, but the idea is the rates that we put or the terms that we put for every single campaign, that shouldn't impact what the investor's actual individual investment is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And a lot of times you will see companies with a minimum of really low, like $25,000, just to give them the most flexibility on having a successful campaign. In a lot of cases, companies, if they are in growth stage, they're post-revenue, they might be utilizing crowdfunding in addition to private investors or venture capital or other methods as well. So they come onto this crowdfunding route, they're looking to, they'll have a wide range so that in that case, some money is better than no money, and they'll have that flexibility with a lower minimum, but we certainly try to hit the max on every campaign. So here are a few things as far as getting started. Caroline, do you want to talk about the early bird investor list for RAIN?
Yeah, and Darren on our team will post it in the chat. Thank you, Darren. So for those of you who want to be notified when the first company hits the platform, which we're hoping to be in the next couple of weeks here, you can follow that link. And basically, we're just asking for your name, your phone number, and your email. We will be doing some text campaigns, which you are welcome to opt out of, but we find that they work really well. And that way you'll be the first to know what companies are getting posted. And as I mentioned in the beginning, for those of you maybe who joined later, when you first join our custom platform, you're not going to see dozens and dozens or even hundreds of companies like you do on the Republic main platform. We're going to curate this and launch with a couple of companies so we can work out the kinks, as I mentioned earlier. So if you want to be one of the first, and I know many of you who are already on this call have already told me that you're excited to make those investments. So we're excited to have you be a part of the program when we launch. And we want feedback too as we're going. So make sure that you let us know what's working and where you might have feel like there was a struggle.
So at any time, you can sign up for a Republic account, republic.co, sign up. Obviously, this isn't going to be RAIN's platform yet, but we'll definitely be, as Caroline said, keeping everyone posted on when that's ready to go. But you can complete your profile, the identity verification, connect to payment method so that all of that's ready to go if you wanted to. And then you can, obviously browse the existing offerings that are available on Republic if you want to just get a sense for how the campaigns are typically set up, the content and material that's in there, and always welcome to follow other investors. We try to have a really cool social aspect to the platform so that there's a kind of community and be further engagement just beyond individual campaigns and investing.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that, so if you go to republic.co, thanks Darren for putting that in, you can sign up now as an investor. And we will have a separate URL for the RAINcap version of Republic that will just show you the Oregon deals. So you can go on now, you can play around with the settings like Mikaela was saying to find out how much you are qualified to invest. And you can even make investments on other companies if you want. We hope that you make the investments on the Oregon companies, of course, when they launch here shortly. But no reason to
save some of that limit.
Yeah, no reason to wait if you want to get on there and play around and see what it's like. And then Darren also posted this is the Republic resources. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mikaela. And then
okay. Yeah, and we can follow up with these too if anyone's interested. We do have an investor academy that does a series of emails that could be just supplemental to what RAIN is providing as well. And then obviously a lot of FAQs that you'll be prompted to read through if you want it in specific certain areas once you sign up as an investor. And then here's RAIN's.
Yes, thank you. And Darren, I believe, posted these to the chat already. The first one we already talked about is to be the early bird investor. The second one is if you are a startup or a small business and you want to raise capital on the platform, we'll take you through the process with that link, filling out the intake form. And then again, our capital access director, Rick Hood, is also on the call, and that's his direct email. If anybody wants to reach out, if you have any questions, it doesn't matter what it might be, whether you're an investor or a company, we're here to support you. And yeah, Amy is asking, can folks outside of Oregon invest? Yes, they can. They'll be able to get access to the platform, and anyone in the United States will be able to make investments in Oregon companies, which is also super cool.
All right, and then we just have these disclaimers, which I will not read through, but we'll just leave that up there for a minute for everyone to see. But
yeah, and we do have some questions coming in while everyone's going to read every word of that, I'm sure.
Yes.
So Robert's asking, what types of more traditional businesses would be appropriate for this? So by traditional businesses, Robert, and maybe we can let Robert unmute. Nate, can you make Robert Killen have access to speak?
Yes, I can. Just a moment.
Great. And Robert is the director of the SBDC here in Lane County. Great partner to RAIN.
Great, Robert, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Great presentation, Mikaela, Caroline. Thank you. Caroline, you had mentioned early in this, you want to perhaps invest in a brewery.
Yeah.
So the question that I have, this type of investment is usually, it's usually paid out through some exit. It's paid out through an IPO or, some more traditional exit. And a lot of traditional businesses don't have those exits. So how might a business that, perhaps wants to stay in the family, is there a place for them on this platform?
Yes, I love that question. I'm very glad that you asked that. This is, so I'll just quick background. Republic acquired the crowdfunding platform that I've been working for the past almost 4 years now. It's called Nextseed. And we did a lot of these kind of community-based businesses, the brick and mortar breweries and food and beverage, restaurants and hospitality type companies. So we are really excited to be bringing more of a presence of those types of companies on Republic's platform now. We're actually going to be launching a new space for them in hopefully next week or by the end of the month for sure. And so you'll start to see more of these companies. This is definitely something that Caroline and I had talked about a lot as we were preparing for this, that any type of company like that can have a home here as well. And you will see a lot of the existing investments on Republic are that crowd safe, the simple agreement for future equity, where that exit is very, instrumental to the actual return to investors. But with this new vertical, let's say that we're launching on Republic, we're going to be also bringing on debt structures, and which can be really interesting for a brewery or brick and mortar business, as well as preferred equity that can have some distribution to investors. And so we certainly want to talk to all kinds of businesses, not just the high growth companies.
Excellent.
Even though we love those as well.
Excellent. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Yes.
And the first couple of companies that we're talking to, two of them are breweries, and one of them is a food and beverage company that is traded sector, which means they're selling nationally and internationally. Any other questions? We have plenty of time with Mikaela here. I know someone private messaged me asking what types of paperwork do you do on the back end for the investor? For those who have been in angel funds before and they get the K1s and those kinds of things, what can an investor expect from Republic?
Yeah, so that does depend on the type of investment. If you invest in a crowd safe, I don't think that you wouldn't get the K1 in that case. But essentially Republic assists with all of that. We have a partner bank that we do provide tax forms and everything out. In debt investments, I know that you get a 1099 for once that has started generating that income to the investors, and that's something that we facilitate. So the tax forms would be made available through your portfolio, or if you're investing in like a real estate LLC, you potentially would have a K1 in that case, which would be sent to you either by the company or by Republic. So we do make sure that all of that is being managed and streamlined through the platform.
Great, thank you. What are some of the other common questions investors ask, or maybe stumbling blocks that they might come across?
I think it's probably just getting familiar with the different types of structures too, which we are going to make sure, as I mentioned, we're just now rolling out the debt structures, and you're going to just now start to see a little bit more of the preferred equity structures with distribution. So there's a really great set of FAQs on the CrowdSafe and a lot of educational materials, since that's like one of the most common investment structures available. But we will be rolling out a new and improved kind of FAQ section with the various structures. So I think that's something that will be really helpful to learn more about once that's available, and will definitely be available once we have the RAINcap platform up, and just understanding the returns. I think I'm not sure. I mean, I think there's probably a handful of questions just depending on whether it's like a technical thing or relative to the company's updates and things. Sometimes people like to post and say they haven't heard from a company in a little while, and we'll get an update from the company. Obviously they are trying to run a company as well, but we do strongly encourage all the companies that we work with to post regular updates to continue engaging their investors. And I think that's where Rain is going to really excel in this with that, really close approach working with the entrepreneurs through all of this.
Great. Another question has to do with the debt side of things. So let's say I put $500 in a company and it's part of one of the debt structures. When do I start to get paid back? And I heard you mention earlier something about monthly payments. Is it set up monthly, quarterly? How would I get paid back? And when would I start getting paid back?
Great question. Yes. So it is going to be typically quarterly payments. I might have said monthly because on Nextlead we did monthly payments for the most part, but we are going to be doing quarterly payments as we roll this out on Republic. We have, most companies will have some type of startup period. And because this is a new kind of infrastructure layer that we're building within Republic, we are going to have all the first debt offerings are going to have 12 months period of no payments. And then they will start on a quarterly payment cycle. But we have made sure that that's accounted for within the way that the terms were structured, that return is, matching with that payback schedule. So hopefully that will still be appealing once those offerings are live. But yeah, typically it will be quarterly payments within 6 to 12 months of the company receiving funds. Okay. And I would say next year, then you'll start to see more offerings that will have a much shorter time frame before the first offering. But if they are building a brewery or other types of things that you do want to have some cushion in there for them to be able to get up and going and get on a good schedule with their repayments.
Great. And that's all done through ACH, right? There's no checks that anybody's getting. It's just
right.
Automatically
ACH.
Yep, pulled out of the account for the investment and then put back in.
Yes. Yeah, it would be sent back to the method of payment that you had utilized.
Great. Thank you. And Craig, yes, you're asking the Oregon startups, even though they'll be on a Republic platform. Yes, we will. And I know you joined later in the webinar. We will have our own domain that we're working on right now with Republic that we will send out to all of you and who attend this webinar and others who've already signed up for the early bird, which will just show the Oregon deals. But just to remember, there's only going to be a couple, maybe one on there when we first launch, just as we're learning. Dan, ACH is the term used in banking and if anybody knows what the actual acronym is, I don't even know if I know, but so that we can auto deposit money into and out of your bank account that you give your routing number, automated clearinghouse. Thank you, Robert. Of course
Robert knew.
The best.
Yeah.
So that we can pull money out of your account, we meaning Republic, not Rain, and deposit money in without having to send checks. It's all done through your routing number and your bank account number. Thanks for asking that question. You're welcome.
Yeah, right now we actually are going to be facilitating payments where investors can choose where to receive their payment back. But again, within that 12-month period, we're hoping that investors will be able to have their own account where they actually get the money back into the Republic account. And they can put it back into other investments, or they can, then choose to withdraw and put it back into their own account. So much more to come on that front. And I didn't mention this before, but you can actually invest via credit card, which can be really exciting for some people. That's something that not all the platforms offer. So we're really just trying to have a wide range of ways for people to be able to invest in.
And does that have a limit? Like, let's say you're an accredited investor. If you're using a credit card versus your bank ACH, is there a limit for the credit card?
I mean, just probably your own credit card limit. I can't think of any other limit that would be associated with that. And
okay.
There's no fee for that.
Okay. Thank you. That's really cool. I like that. Okay, another question. I know you had mentioned that we can invest in crypto, but can we invest with cryptocurrency? So that would be applying to the main Republic platform. I'll let you take that, Mikaela.
Yeah. So that's not available for every offering today, but we have done the crypto offerings that we have been investing with cryptocurrency. We have Republic Wallet. That's a new feature that we've been rolling out, where you are able to actually invest in, like, our music offerings. The ones that we just launched were through NFTs. So this is also not my area of expertise, but I know enough to be dangerous here. But yes, this is something that we're definitely trying to roll out more. It won't be every single offering in the near term, but you'll be able to see a lot more of that crypto payments coming soon. And for sure with our crypto offerings, that's already available. Yeah.
Great. I just put what an NFT was, just in case folks are not following that world. No, that's okay. What's the charge for companies to list on the platform? So we are also getting reduced fees in this partnership with Republic, by the way.
That's correct. Yes. So our standard fees for an equity raise are 6% in cash and 2% in securities, in the same securities that they are offering to investors. So essentially, we're offering a 1% discount, I believe, on that. So they would be paying 5% of the total amount that they raised in cash and only issuing 1% of the amount raised in securities to Republic. And then on a debt structure, it's typically 7% cash, or charging RAIN founders 6% cash for debt offerings. So really excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. The other really cool benefit that we're working out, or that we've worked out with Republic, is the first 3 companies don't have to pay upfront for the CPA fees for the financial review. That Republic is going to cover that. And then once the raise is done, then the payment would get taken out on the back end as a way to reduce the barrier for finances needed upfront.
Yep.
And then secondly, we're also building a network of Oregon lawyers, securities attorneys, as well as CPAs that we can refer to the companies, as well as the CPAs to the investors if they don't already have one. So we're working on building that right now. So if anybody knows of any CPA firms who specialize in this area, or securities firms, law firms, which we have a good list of them already, but we also want to make sure that we're adding more underrepresented populations, owners of those businesses, to the portfolio, who sometimes float under the radar. Please just send them directly to me. I'll put my email in. I know you guys all have it because I sent an email out, but there's my email as well that you can send that to. Another question, do you have a calculated success rate? So Pat,
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Mikaela.
Oh, with the offerings?
Well, that's what I was going to ask Pat. Let's let Pat unmute. Oh, is that Greta? Greta, are you using, I think it's Greta using Pat's account. Go ahead, Greta.
Not with Greta's account.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Go ahead, Pat.
I just was thinking, for your overall listings, is there a success failure rate? I'm sure not everybody is successful in their raise, but do you have any stats on what the breakdown is?
Yes, I off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number, but it's really high. I think, like 90% plus that are successful. And I mean, that there's obviously the caveat that sometimes a lot of companies will set that minimum goal at 25,000, and they might have the maximum at $1 million, just because, like I'd mentioned earlier, sometimes this is just one avenue of their funding. They're not necessarily, they might be having other conversations outside, and depending on how much time and effort they're able to put towards this crowdfunding effort can sometimes result in the success of how much they're actually able to raise. So the successful offering would depend on them hitting that minimum goal. And I know that that's, well into the 90s, but I do feel like if even if we looked at the, the real kind of substantive goals, like it is very strong, I think. And we're always trying to improve that and have an in-house marketing team working with issuers to, continue to make sure that they're able to raise. Yeah. I can look into that, though. I should know that better.
And what about benefit corporations? Can they list as well?
Yes. Yeah. I believe, yeah, I can't think of any issues with B Corps raising. I believe I've seen that. I believe I've seen that before. So yeah, always happy to have that conversation. And
Mhm.
dig into that further.
Great. And Greta, did you want to ask your question as well? I know you had mentioned that you had one. I would need to, let's unmute Greta. Where did Greta go? There you are.
Hi, yeah, quick question about what's distinctive about success for a B2B company pursuing crowdfunding rather than, I don't have any chocolate chip cookies to offer to get them interested.
No, that's a great question. Actually, that's been an awesome thing for us to see more recently. At first, we did tend to really encourage the kind of B2C avenue more so than B2B, but there have actually been, we have some really cool case studies on Republic recently of B2B companies actually continuing to really get the benefits from it. I would say if you're like an industrial kind of B2B that's doing like something that's like maybe just a little bit harder for people to grasp and to really understand the growth potential or kind of get captivated by the story, there might be that angle, but we are starting to really work with a lot more B2B that have a really cool story that, you know, if their target are doctors or, you know, teachers or even corporate owners, like there's a lot of people like that already within our user base that they're getting that exposure with anyways, that they can continue to help spread that word, even if they're not going to be their direct customers individually. So have definitely changed our stance on that, and it's been exciting to see some really good case studies there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greta. So Dan, you're asking about inventors. So let's get you to unmute. Let's find you. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Caroline. I have an invention that I did 22 years ago. Dug it out in my shed. I want to take that to market. And that's my issue.
Okay, so we work with a lot of inventors, and you would get put through the RAINcap program. We would help you determine whether there is a market for your invention. We would look at competition, we would look at pricing, business model, financials, before we would hand you off to the platform. However, there are people with, you know, in the research and development stage, certainly raising capital on the platform.
Yeah. I have a prototype ready to go.
Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? You guys can raise your hand. You can post it in the chat. And while we're waiting, Mikaela, if there's anything else that you want to share, I think one of the things is folks are wondering, will Republic help promote the Oregon deals on the platform, as well as us rallying the local crowd here? Will you also help us share that deal with other investors on the Republic platform?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that we still will always have an all companies page that lists all the companies that are currently raising on Republic, where the deals, I believe, will be listed. I think there might be some cases of the specific Oregon entrepreneurs that are working with the RAINcap program that they might be utilizing something called testing the waters, where, for example, if they want to raise, maybe they're looking for like a smaller amount, like $50,000, and they aren't sure if they want to take on the expense or the time of going through the full offering right away. They can utilize something called testing the waters, where they'll build the campaign page, they can collect interest, basically. People can reserve commitments and follow the campaign progress. And maybe, you know, in those, that would be something that's featured just on the RAINcap platform. But like, I would imagine majority of the companies that are going to be actually going through with the full process, that they'll be included in our in our all companies page and be listed elsewhere. But we are going to be sharing, regardless, we're going to be sharing a ton of resources with RAIN to, continue to help these companies market in the ways that we've learned and using our expertise to really get the word out there and connect with more investors, and which will hopefully be more customers or whatever the business is looking for.
Thanks, Mikaela. All right, I'm posting the link again for the early bird investor sign up so that you can be aware of when we launch and have the first company from Oregon for you guys to take a look at and invest in, or first few companies. Are there any other questions? We're at the top of the hour. I know we had reserved a little bit more time if needed, but you're also welcome, if you come up with other questions as we're going, you can send them to me, which I already put my email in the chat. You can also send them to Rick, our capital access director. I just put his email in the chat. We want to be here. We want to be accessible. We don't want to be like stuck behind some big building or anything. We want to make sure that you can feel like you can reach out to us and ask us questions. And as I mentioned, this is also new for Republic to do this kind of partnership. We're the first organization. I mean, Republic is based in New York. Mikaela is in Houston as part of the Next Seed acquisition that Republic made. And we're the first organization in the United States that they're doing this kind of partnership with. So we're excited about it, but we're also know that we're going to hit bumps along the way, and we need to hear from you about what's working and what's not working, both from the investor perspective as well as from the company perspective, because ultimately what we want to do is fill this capital gap. We want to help companies like Arable Brewing and 1188 Brewing and Young Mountain Tea, and there's many others who are in our pipeline who are excited to get their deals posted to the platform to be able to raise that money that's really, really hard to get access to. I know what that's like, having been the co-founder CEO of my own 2 companies here in Oregon. It can be really difficult, especially when you're pre-revenue and you're selling your idea and you have a path to market, but it can be really a struggle to find that first, 250,000 or 100,000, whatever that might be. Great, thank you, Megan, for posting that. Appreciate it. I'll give it another minute and see if there's any, thought-provoking questions that you have to get out of your head that you want to post in the chat. And if we don't hear any other questions in the next minute or so, we'll just sign off. And this recording will be posted to our playlist on our YouTube channel, which we also posted earlier in the chat. And then we'll follow up with everybody who's on here with those links, as well as the links to Republic, because Mikaela, someone earlier was asking about being able to invest in the music vertical. Is that up yet, or is that being launched in a couple of weeks?
We actually just launched the first offering a few days ago, and it sold out really quickly. So, but there are definitely more coming up. So you can, on that page I sent, you can follow, sign up and add your email to be notified specifically on the music offering. So that was cool to see.
That's great. Thank you. Robert's asking, I may have missed this, how long from listing in the system to accessing the funds?
Great question. So it definitely depends. I mean, I think that if it normally takes companies, if they are committed to moving forward with the full process to, getting the live campaign to actually collect investments, it typically takes companies about 6 weeks from, through that preparation, because they have to work with the independent CPA to prepare reviewed financials, the attorney to prepare the Form C filing, and then they're working with us on building out the campaign page. Maybe they're making a video, doing those things. So about 6 weeks there. And then depending on their goal, the campaign could be open for a few months, but in some cases they can do, an intermediate close where they can start withdrawing at certain benchmarks to be able to access funds, within 3 weeks or so from launching. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and it just depends on what their larger goal is. But if we wanted to say conservatively, maybe 4 months or so from beginning to end.
Yeah, good question, Robert.
Yep.
And, once we get things more streamlined too, our goal is to help reduce the amount of time for this process so that we can help get capital into the hands quicker. And that's our intention, is that all that pre-work that we do with Live Plan, with the SBDCs, with the ecosystem network, that we can speed up the process of handing over the deal. And then hopefully the deal's in such a great position that Republic's diligence process is more speedy on there.
Yeah, and just building out the campaign too. I mean, I think if you are working with an Oregon CPA who's just doing, you know, these few campaigns, like there could be a much quicker turnaround time. So there's a lot of ways where the process could become way more efficient. And if the company has a lot of the marketing assets ready to go in advance, then it's like plug and play on the campaign page. So yeah, there's a lot of room to speed that up.
Great. Thank you, Mikaela. Any other questions? We'll give it another 30 seconds. Sometimes you gotta, takes a minute to type it in. This is really awesome though. And someone was asking about the chat feature, like, can they get access to all the links? Yes, we will follow up with an email and put all of the links in one email, so that way you have them and you don't have to frantically save your browser or post them in your browser. Yeah, thank you, Nola. Thanks for joining us. Nola's joining us from Georgia, which is awesome. Great to have you here. Excellent. And thank you, Robert. I also want to give another shout out to Robert and the SBDC in Lane County for being an incredible partner in technical assistance and helping review financials and just, you know, so being a supportive mentor network with the work that we do. Robert's really great. Awesome. And Amy, it's nice to have you here too. We hope Amy's one of the first companies up on the platform from Arable Brewing. Super exciting. Great. And Amy, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but would you like to, because you're hoping to be one of the first companies, would you like to just share a little bit more about Arable Brewing and your team?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Amy Wells. I'm one of 3 partners of Arable Brewing, and we are working very hard to get our brewery up and running out in Lowell, Oregon, which is just about 15, maybe 20 minutes outside of Eugene, up Highway 58 up by Dexter Reservoir. And we're super excited. And thank you, Mikaela, for everything today. And Caroline, as always, thank you for your support. We've been working on this for a while now, a couple of years, and it just kind of feels like things are really starting to happen. So it's exciting.
It's very exciting. And you guys have, for the investors out there and the mentors out there, you know, there's that term, is the company coachable? Are the team, are they coachable? And Amy's team has been incredible and really, and they've also been working with Robert at the SBDC. So it just sort of shows, I always say it, you know, it takes a community to raise an entrepreneur, and it takes so many different people with different skill sets to do that. Amy, did you want to take a minute and talk about your brewer? And because I think that's one of the things investing in a brewery is people want to know about the brewer and what's unique about it.
Yeah, we actually, one of the things that I'm most excited and proud about is our team. So it's myself and my husband, and then our third partner is a longtime friend of ours. And our friend comes from one of the largest craft breweries here in, well, Eugene for sure, but Oregon as well. And he's been a head brewer there for 10 years. And then my husband comes from the industry as well. And he is all things maintenance and can fix and keep anything running. And then myself, behind the scenes, I've been in administration for my whole, working career. So between the 3 of us, I feel like we have a really great team. Yeah.
Yeah, that trio team is always important to have the 3 different skill sets, and you guys have that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions coming in, but I'm sure there will be more over time, especially as we get this thing launched and rolled out. Mikaela, thank you so much for this. Is I think the third webinar that we've done together now, right? And we do have a playlist on YouTube where we're putting all of these videos, so that way you don't have to go digging through again. We'll follow up with the emails on that. And then I also want to thank Juan Barraza, our board vice president, for helping open the session today and just being a really great mentor to me, as well as to the ecosystem, and really shining the light on the Latinx entrepreneurial population. You're an incredible champion, and we're lucky to have you on our board. Thank you so much. All righty. Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.